Hi students, welcome to lesson number 24 on content analysis method. The introduction. Content analysis is a tool to identify the occurrence of concepts in an exposition. It is nothing but quantification of text or its meaning. An exposition can be an article, book, lecture, interview, conversation, web page or any other reading material. To conduct a content analysis of a text, the text may be coded or broken down into manageable, meaningful categories on a variety of levels: word senses, phrase, sentence or theme, and then examine using any one of the two basic methods of content analysis, namely conceptual analysis or relational analysis. The practice of content analysis has been in practice since the early 1940s. Then it was limited to examining text of different studies manually or through slow mainframe computers to check the frequency of specific terms or words. Later in the 1950s, content analysis incorporated sophisticated means of analysis that used to focus upon the concepts and semantic relationships as well. Nowadays, with the revolution of technology, content analysis is used for analyzing various aspects of content for exploring mental models alongside the cognitive, linguistic, cultural, social and historical significance of content. And the objectives of the study are that the students will be able to understand the conceptual foundation of content analysis. They can discuss its characteristics and type. They can explain the steps to be followed in content analysis. Now, we will understand the meaning and definition of content analysis. Content denotes what is contained, and content analysis is the analysis of what is contained in a message. Broadly, content analysis may be seen as a method where the content of the message forms the basis for drawing inferences and conclusions about the content. Further, content analysis falls in the interface of observation and document analysis. It is defined as a method of observation in the sense that instead of asking people to respond to questions, it takes the communication that people have produced and asks questions of communications. Therefore, it is also considered as an unobtrusive or non-reactive method of social research. And according to Berelson, content analysis is a research technique for the objective, systematic and quantitative description of the manifest content of communication. According to Kellinger, he defined content analysis as a method of studying and analyzing communication in a systematic, objective and quantitative manner for the purpose of measuring variables. Qippendorf defined content analysis as a research technique for making replicable and valid inferences from data to their context. As for Weber, it is a research methodology that utilizes a set of procedures to make valid inferences from text. These inferences are about sender of message, the message itself or the audience of message. According to Stone, content analysis refers to any procedure for assessing the relative extent to which specified references, attitudes or themes permeate a given message or document. A careful examination of the definition of the method show emphasis placed on aspects such as system, objectivity, quantification, context and validity with reference to the inferences drawn from the communication content about the sender, the message or the receiver of the message. Thus, Content analysis is all about making valid, replicable and objective inferences about the message on the basis of explicit rules. The material for the content analysis can be letters, diaries, newspaper content, folk songs, short stories, messages of radio, television, documents, text or any symbols. Further, like any other research method, content analysis conform to three basic principles of scientific method, and they are: first one, it is objectivity, which means that the analysis is pursued on the basis of explicit rules which enable different researcher to obtain the same result from the same documents or messages. Second, it is systematic. The inclusion or exclusion of content is done according to some consistently applied rules, whereby the possibility of including only materials which support the researcher's ideas is eliminated. Third, it is generalization. The results obtained by the researcher can be applied to other similar situations. Now, we will understand the characteristics of content analysis. Even though journalism and communication are the historical origin of this technique, content analysis is applied in various disciplines ranging from sociology to psychology to anthropology. And the first characteristic is describing communication content. That is, content analysis describes what exists, that is, it describes a characteristic of a particular communication content by stating the what, how and to whom something is said in it. For example, how live reports are used in TV news bulletins, or what is the gender depiction in soap operas. These studies also can be used for studying societal change, for change on public opinion on various issues. Second characteristic is making inferences regarding message. That is, content analysis can be used to determine the association between source and message. For instance, a comparative analysis can be done on how the same event is covered by two different publications. Third, it is comparing media content to the real world. Content analysis is often used in comparative studies where a situation, event, phenomena existing in reality is compared with its media presentation or representation. For instance, cinematic depiction of certain ethnic communities as lawbreakers as compared to actual data, or the role that a woman plays in most advertisements as compared to the role she performs in real life. Fourth characteristic is assessing the image of population growth. The manner in which certain minority or dominant groups are represented in media is analyzed to determine underrepresentation or overrepresentation or misrepresentation. Another characteristic is establishing starting point for effect side. Content analysis is used as part of two prolonged study. First, the dominant message of communication, content is determined. Then a separate study is conducted to determine whether the content had any effect on those who consume it. Content analysis is also used in studies on agenda setting, where the objective is to determine how personal agendas become public agendas and how various propaganda techniques are used for the same phenomena. Now, we will understand content analysis and its applications. Content analysis begin with a specific statement of the objectives or research questions to be studied. The researcher asks the question, what do I want to find out from this communication, content, and frames the objective for the study. The researcher must therefore locate a source of communication relevant to the research question and ask questions that can be solved by content analysis. The objective of content analysis is to convert recorded raw phenomena into data which can be treated in essentially a scientific manner so that a body of knowledge may be built up. In fact, the researcher who wishes to undertake a study using content analysis must deal with 4 methodological issues, that is, selection of unit of analysis, developing categories, sampling appropriate content, and checking reliability of coding. More specifically, studies using content analysis usually involve the following steps. First one, formulation of research question or objectives, selection of communication content and sample, developing content categories, finalizing units of analysis, preparing a coding schedule, pilot testing and checking intercoder reliabilities, and analyzing the collected data. The first one, formulation of research question or objective. As mentioned earlier, by making a clear statement of the research question or objective, the researcher can ensure that the analysis focus on those aspects of content which are relevant for the research. Content analysis is a method for analyzing textual content. Therefore, the selection of topics should be one that can be answered by analyzing the appropriate communication content. Second one, it is selection of communication content and sample. The next step would be to locate relevant communication content to answer the research question and to determine the time period to be covered. If the body of content is excessive, then a sample needs to be worked out. Though sampling in content analysis is not so much different from sampling in surveys, because of the unique nature of source material used in this method, they have developed some special sampling techniques for content analysis. Thus, depending upon the nature of the communication content, whether it is a new item, editorial, short story or a TV serial, the sampling techniques differ. Third one is developing content categories. Content categories can be defined as compartments or pigeonholes with explicitly stated boundaries into which the units of content are coded for analysis. They in fact flow from the research question and should be anchored in a review of relevant literature and related studies. Content categories are constructed in response to the query, what classification would most efficiently yield the data needed to answer the research questions raised, and the first step in category construction is preliminary examination of the communication by the researcher on a small scale or as a pilot study, so that such examination will result in the identification of possible content categories into which material can be coded. Usually, one experiments with several categories before finalizing a set of categories that can be used for the study. Sometimes, category systems already developed by other researchers may also prove useful for your study. Developing the category system to classify the body of text is the heart of content analysis. Every content category must be completely and thoroughly defined, indicating what type of material is and is not to be included. Next one is finalizing units of analysis. At this stage, that is, once the categories are identified and defined in terms of the research objectives, the content analyst asks two interrelated questions. The first one, that is, what unit of content is to be selected for classification under the categories, and the second question is, what system of enumeration will be used. And to answer the first question is that the unit of analysis is the smallest unit of content that is coded into the content category. The units of analysis vary with the nature of data and the purpose of research. Thus, the unit of analysis might be a single word, a letter, a symbol, a theme, a news story, a short story, a character, an entire article or an entire film or a piece of program. There are two kinds of unit of analysis. First one, recording units and second one context units. The recording unit is a specific segment of content in which the occurrence of reference or fact is counted, or the unit can be broken down so that references can be placed in different categories. For example, if it is a single word, say democracy, the number of times the word appears can be counted. Similarly, a sentence or a paragraph, a news item or an article containing a symbol or a theme or a group of facts can also be a unit. Thus, a news item containing a group of facts can be coded in different categories. According to 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧 and 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧, 5 major recording units have been used frequently in content research analysis, that is, words or terms, themes, characters, paragraphs and items. The item may be an entire book, an article, a speech or the like. However, for instance, attitude toward democracy cannot be inferred solely on the basis of frequency with which the word democracy appears in the communication. Here, the context unit becomes relevant. Thus, the context unit is a larger body of content that may be searched to categorize the recording unit. And coming to the second question is that content analysis, where the counting or quantification of the unit is performed by using 3 methods of enumeration, that is space or time, frequency and intensity or direction. A unit of analysis can be measured in terms of space, for example, the number of column inches, or time, that is minutes devoted to a news item on the TV. In the case of frequency, it is a number of times a given unit or theme figured in a body of text is recorded. Intensity or direction implies a measurement of the direction of the symbolic meaning contained in the message. For example, in one study, the author coded the direction of treatment as favorable, unfavorable or neutral of the roles of election commission in the elections by the editorials in the selected newspaper. Another stage is preparing a coding schedule, pilot testing and checking intercoder reliabilities. Defining categories and preparing coding schedule for the analysis and coding of content are simultaneous steps. A coding schedule resembles a survey questionnaire and contains different dimensions of the communication content to be coded. Next, piloting the coding schedule is a crucial step before launching the full-scale content analysis. Test coding of a small sample of the material to be analyzed helps reveal inconsistency and inadequacies in the category construction. And the last stage is the analyzing the collected data. How should the data be analyzed? The definition research problem gives direction to data analysis, the patterns to be examined and the relationships to be explored. As in the case of analysis of survey data, the starting point can be the description of the profile of the main categories, such as, for example, characteristics and types of content by period, actors and so on. Later, the analysis can move to conduct more complex analysis comparing to 2 or more dimensions, periods or data sets. Now, we will understand the different types of content analysis, and the first type is quantitative content analysis. You can use it by focusing upon counting and measuring the occurrence of specific phrases, words, concepts and subjects. For instance, if you are performing content analysis for a speech on employment issues, terms such as jobs, unemployment, work, etc. will be focused and analyzed. Second type is qualitative content analysis. Such kind of content analysis focus upon interpretation and understanding of a particular type of content. For instance, if we perform qualitative analysis upon the A4 stated employment issued, speech example, you will look for the term unemployment and other terms such as inequality, economy next to it. Then you should analyze the relationship of those terms to gauge the intentions and semantic relations of these terms and concepts in the campaign. These two types of content analysis can further be understood as conceptual analysis, relational analysis, bias analysis, semiotic analysis, discourse analysis, rhetoric analysis, schematic analysis and narrative analysis. And what is conceptual analysis? Conceptual analysis is similar to quantitative analysis and performed in a specific manner. While doing conceptual content analysis, a concept is chosen for examination and the study implicates quantifying and tallying its presence. For example, say that you have the impression that your favorite author often writes about love. So, with conceptual analysis, you can quickly determine how many times words such as crush, fondness, liking, adore appear in the text. Second type is relational analysis. Whereas in relational analysis, it begins with identifying the ideas already present in the given text or set of documents. It is quite similar to qualitative analysis. It deals with the examination of relationships amongst the concept and terms in content. Example, giving the same example like love, you start with the first step and examine the relationship of the content. You identify these words like such as crush, fondness, liking, adore, and then conclude what different meanings emerge from this group of words. It is then you complete that your favorite author writes about love very often. This here we can say that conceptual analysis focuses on looking at the occurrence of selected terms in the text, although the time can be implicit or explicit as well. On the other hand, the relational analysis focuses on to look for semantic or essential relationships. Unique concepts in and of themselves are viewed as having no inherent significance. Instead, the implication is a product of the relationship among concepts in a text. Another type is bias analysis. By defining categories of direction in opinion, it is possible to determine the slant or bias in coverage. Bias is studied using similar categorization as for quantitative analysis. Another type is semiotic analysis. It is primarily concerned with how meanings are generated. The content is divided into two components, the signifier and the signified, and meaning is derived from the relationship between the two. Example, the use of rockets, gizmos, extraterrestrial etc. signifies a future, or the use of candlelight and roses signifies romance. Meaning is also understood in terms of what is not signified. In the case of both the examples, it is also simultaneously signified that these are not commonplace or routine situations. Meaning is not fixed in semiotic analysis. It has many ideological and cultural association. Another type is discourse analysis. In this type, every situation that is talked or spoke or written about is looked at through models, that is the event model where the situation itself and the context model where the manner in which the sourcer sees and the receiver receive it. Another major type is rhetorical analysis. This analysis is to do with the study of persuasions and is most often carried out in the study of advertising and other forms of public communications. Another type is schematic analysis. In this type of analysis, the manner in which the content is structured is studied. As news report, for instance, is broadly divided into summary and the background. Here the analysis is done on the basis of what is included, excluded, and also the extent of detailing provided. Another type is narrative analysis. In this type, we study how the story is narrated within the formal structure. Meaning is generated through the manner in which the characters are handled and the plot unravels. Now, the advantages and disadvantages of content analysis. Content analysis offers several advantages to researchers who consider using it. The first advantage is it provides a social communication among scholars, namely text or transcripts. A text can be analyzed both qualitatively and quantitatively, thus understanding the relationship of concepts. Insight of old civilization can be understood by analyzing the text of inscriptions. Second, it allows closeness to text, which can alternate between specific categories and relationships, and also statistically analyzes the coded form of the text. Third, it can be used to interpret text for the development of expert systems to develop the rule base or inference engine showing the relationship among the concepts. And the fourth, it can be used to understand the way human mind thinks. And the disadvantages of content analysis are that it takes time to be done. Relational analysis is a matter of high interpretation, hence is prone to inaccuracy. Second, it is based on few steps. There is no sound theory to date behind doing content analysis, which may reduce the precision of study sometimes. Third, in content analysis, a large concept is reduced to a code. Often there can be mistakes while coding, particularly dealing with complex text, and can result in information loss. Fourth, often content analysis is criticized to be as word count. Often we need to understand the context while drawing a conclusion from an analyzed text, because there could be many possible interpretations. To sum up, content analysis is a useful research technique for analyzing large bodies of text. It offers objective guidelines in the coding of the text and to draw inferences from the data. It helps in the coding of the text according to systematic and objective rules and in drawing inferences from the data. A successful content analysis study is the outcome of a series of good decisions. The process starts from the point of deciding whether the method is suitable to study the research topic under question. After clearly setting out the objectives of the study, the researcher proceeds to make decisions relating to unit of analysis, developing content categories, sample and the sampling period, orienting coders, checking intercoder reliabilities, and selecting appropriate statistical designs for presenting results are some of the essential tasks which add rigor to the study.